I kind of did that. I spent too much time with my family and not enough time with my bed.
We'll see that happens soon.
All right. So, oh, I'm not showing you here, but yeah, this is your time to ask me any question you want. This is what we call the Q&A. What are you not sure about? Do you need to want to be more sure?
Can we go through like a practice problem? Let's say like the first one, like finding the midpoint, finding the standard deviation.
Okay.
I guess like going through the equation fully, because I guess where I'm stuck is, do we like when we like square it? Like when we square the answer, is it the answer specifically, or is it when we add up the sum of all of the?
Okay, so let me just say this. In my last class, somebody said, I don't know how to do standard deviation with group data. And I said, well, we can do that. So do you want to just do that problem that we did? So that was worksheet 3.3. So go ahead and open up your worksheet 3.3, just a blank, fresh one. I just clicked on this because these are basically the same thing. Although we'll change this a little bit. Okay, so I've got some data here. Am I sharing this? Oh, I'm not sharing it. Now I'm sharing it. Okay. So we got some data here. This is worksheet 3.3. In order to find the standard deviation, you have to find the mean. Okay, so this involves kind of what you asked. Okay, so Braden, on this first, what is the midpoint?
The midpoint would be, so it's out of 10, 11, so it'd be 11.
It would be 11, and?
It'd be 12, or sorry, 13.
It would be 13.
And then 15.
Okay.
And 17, 19, 21, and 23.
Okay, all right. So now, rather than put X bar here, I'm gonna, in order to find, so you have to find the mean before you can do anything with the standard deviation. So how do you find the mean?
So you add up all the midpoints?
No, you don't add up the
You have to
midpoints.
times your data.
You need to do the product. Okay,
So you times the frequency by the midpoint?
the frequency times the midpoint. Okay, we're gonna copy that down.
Okay.
And then
you do, would you divide, and then you'd sum all that?
we're gonna sum that total, that column right there, 592.
And then you divide it by 6.
Nope.
No.
What do we divide it by? We're not looking at the formula sheet. That's part of the problem. What's the formula for the, yeah, it's McKenna. I got it right. All right. And she's Mackenzie? Okay. So you're McKenna and she's Mackenzie. Okay, that's how I'm going to remember that. Okay?
You divide it by the sum of the frequencies.
The sum of the frequencies. So I need to get the sum of the frequencies here. Okay? So that gives me the mean. And as you said, we're going to take this product and we're going to divide it by the frequency there. Okay? So now a question to ask yourself, okay? Does 14.8 seem reasonable given the data? I'm getting a lot of no's, but actually, yes.
What was your question?
Does 14.8 seem like a reasonable answer? And why?
Yeah. There's more like frequency in between 12 and 16.
Yeah, you can kind of see. So first of all, it has to be between 10 and 24%, right? Okay. So 15 is in between 10 and 24%, right? And we also note that, yeah, seems to be a lot of data in this range here, so it seems reasonable. Now, I'm going to do it wrong for just a moment because the first time Braden said I was going to take this and I was going to divide it by 6. Okay? I don't know where you got the 6 from.
Well, I was just counting all the, I guess like this whole.
You were counting up the classes, the groups? Okay? There's more than 6, but at any rate, 98, does that seem like a reasonable answer?
Yeah.
98% return? No,
No.
because that's Bernie Madoff territory, right? Okay, that's a Ponzi scheme right there. No, so that's not reasonable because it's not between 10 and 24%. Okay, now if you'd counted those up properly, you would have gotten 7. So I'll divide it by 7. It's still too high. Okay, it's got to be your return has to be between 10 and 24% because that's all the data I have, right? Okay, so as McKenna said, let's take the 592, divide it by the total, which is 14.8. Okay, that seems reasonable given the data. Yes.
Is this portion of the test going to be on Thursday or tomorrow?
Oh, good question. So tomorrow is going to be the written test. Okay, it'll be like a really long quiz.
Right.
Okay, some multiple choice, some show your work. Number of questions, I haven't made it yet. I'm going to say 20 to 30 because some of them are just like definitions. This will probably be one of the longer, well, there'll be more questions on this than probably future tests because it's going to be so vocabulary based. The computer test is probably going to have about 4 or 5 problems. Let me just mention a couple of things. Number one, remember to look at all the tabs down here and do all of the problems. Don't do the first problem and say, oh, I'm done. Wow, that only took me 10 minutes. Okay? Somebody does that every semester, probably the person that's not here listening to this or watching the video later. Okay? So, number one, do all of the problems. The other big issue here, and so here's what I'm going to recommend. People upload a blank test. That sucks because I can only grade what you submit. Okay?
So you
So-
have to save it on the computer first.
So here's what I'm going to recommend. Save it on the computer, call it your name, Sam Smith Test 1 or whatever your name is, okay? And then upload that file. Now, let me just tell you, typically the written test, you usually don't run out of time. Some people would love to take 8 hours. Sorry, there's another class after this. We got to leave, okay? So you only get an hour. You get 50 minutes, okay? Because we got to have some time to get to your next class. If you get done with the computer test early because you've practiced, okay, I can look and say, did you submit a blank test or not? I'll tell you that, okay? So here's the problem though. Because you guys aren't used to me and you're not used to working on a time limit and you didn't practice enough, okay, I can't check 15 people all with 5 minutes to go, okay? It's going to be whatever you do. So if you get done early, you can say, did you get the proper test? I will look and I'll say yes or no. And tomorrow there'll probably be a lot of yeses and a lot of nos because somebody's going to screw up. But you can fix it right there. But if you all come up to me because you ran out of time, I'll be like, sorry, I can't look, okay? So hopefully you have practiced, and you're not going to run out of time. This first test, when you're not used to me, plan on running out of time. Some of you won't, but probably half of you will be like, oh, I really wish I had more time. Okay? So practice, okay? Although it's almost too late now because, well, you've got till Thursday at 10 a.m. to practice, or 9 a.m. What time does this class start? So yeah, so that's that.
So we're going to submit it through Canvas.
You're going to submit it through Canvas. You open it up through Canvas just like we have with the worksheets, and then you'll just submit it on Canvas, and then I'll grade it over the weekend. So I give myself the weekend because these take a long time to grade. The written tests are way easier to grade. Okay. All right. Any other questions that y'all have? Actually, we're not done with this problem yet, but do you have any other questions about the test before we move on? Yes.
So the written test is going to be pretty much like
what we've done with the written quiz questions, like very similar.
Very similar. Probably not so much multiple choice. There'll be some multiple choice on it, but there'll be probably more show your work than
And
than
the
quizzes.
problems themselves are pretty similar to what we
Yeah, and I don't really look at the old quizzes. I just pick a bunch of problems, and there could be an old question on a quiz. So studying those is a good idea. You might see it again. You might not. Yes.
And then I guess like the equations that we're going to be using, are those going to be with us, or should we bring those?
So, yeah, so I will give you an equation sheet packet on Thursday. Probably won't need it for tomorrow because I'm not going to do this complicated problem tomorrow on the written test. I will not. This will be a computer problem.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll give you the formula sheets for the computer portion.
Okay.
Okay. After this, I'll give them to you for all the tests, but you really don't need it for the written, I don't think. Okay. And if there's a question that I put on there and I was like, oh, I wasn't thinking, you can ask me and maybe I'll write it on the board. Okay. Yes.
Are we gonna have to like label each thing like xi minus x bar?
Should you label things? Only if you want partial credit. Okay. If I can figure out what you're doing, you're going to get way more points than if I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. Okay. So good labels give you more points. Okay. Because if I can't figure it out, I'll be like, I don't know what they're doing. Okay.
So do we start with a blank Excel sheet?
Well, it'll be like this. Obviously, I'll give you instructions. Say, I want you to find. Usually, I'll give you some ABCs. So find the mean,
So like,
find the standard deviation,
so
find a
like-
histogram.
It's like 10-11.99, like that will already be there. Like,
It may or may
all
not
the-
be there.
all the information.
Yeah. So if I could give you raw data and you'll have to figure it out yourself,
Okay.
or I could give you summary data like this, and then that's easy.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's easy. It should be easy, theoretically. Easier, yeah. So, all right. So, Braden, you ready to finish this problem?
Yeah.
Okay, do we know the formula? Let's write down the formula on the board. Do we know the formula for finding the standard deviation for grouped data?
Yes.
Okay, this is a formula I will give to you, but I don't have it here. So, does anybody know, or did you want me to look it up?
The square root of
Are we deciding, is this a population or a sample?
this is a sample.
Probably a sample, but we'll do both formulas just for fun. Okay, if it's a sample,
So you do the n minus 1, but it's square root of
square root of
the sum of
sum of
xi minus x bar.
I minus, I think actually in the thing it says mu. You should say x bar, but on the formula sheet it says mu because I did this last class period, so I know that. Squared
Times that by fi.
fi. Now, by the way, the formula for mu and for x bar is exactly the same, so it doesn't really matter that much. Okay?
And then you divide by the sum of the frequencies, so the sum of fi minus 1.
And so this formula is almost exactly the same, sum of xi minus mu squared times f sub I divided by the sum of f sub I. There's no minus 1 on that one. Okay? This is for a population. This is for a sample. You'll have to read the problem and decide, am I dealing with a population or am I dealing with a sample? Okay? All right. Now, okay, so we're going to use this first one here. We're going to assume that this is a sample for this problem, okay? All right. So, I'm back. Share my screen. Now, so if we do xi minus x bar, what are we supposed to do, Braden?
So the xi is data, so it would be, hold up. Would it be the midpoint?
The midpoint?
Midpoint minus the mean,
The mean,
so it'd be 40.
probably
Or
40?
sorry, 14.8.
14. Okay? We need to F4 any of those? Only the x bar or the mu. Okay? So only the second one, not the first. Okay? And then I can copy that down. Okay?
Then would you
We're going to take whatever value we got there.
square it?
We're going to square it, and we're going to multiply it by, let's square it first, and then multiply it
Multiply it by 40,
by 40.
right?
Is that right? Who agrees? One. Who disagrees? Oh, we got more disagreement. What do you, let me think of your name. Drew? Oh, I got it. Nice. Drew, what do you think?
By 6.
By 6. Oops, 6. That's the correct answer. Okay?
So when it's referring to the frequency, it's referring to that line specifically.
Remember, this S and I, you can think of that as the frequency for that row.
Okay.
And then you're gonna, this sum means add them all up. Okay?
Okay.
But there's no sum here.
Okay.
Okay? That's the difference.
Okay. So don't look at the sum of that equation. Just look at it as the sum of that, but then the F sub
Yeah.
the F
So one of the important parts is you need to practice this enough so that you don't run out of time on Thursday. Okay? And Braden, I will tell you, I think you need more practice.
Yeah, no, I know I need more practice.
So yeah, I'm going to give you this formula, but you're going to have to memorize the steps if you don't like the formula. Okay? I'll give you this, but that's all I'm giving you. Okay? Do I need to F4 any of these?
Yes. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, I do not. Okay? That's the correct answer. Okay? Now I'm going to copy that down. You got a question?
On the test, you were saying like show your work. Do you want to go through each of these steps, like and showing your work each number of the way, or can you just put it in to this formula if you know how? Does that make sense? Like, do you want us to show the X bar, X
Some of you don't show me enough work. Okay? If I can't figure out what you're doing, I'm not going to give you full credit, even if you get the right answer. Okay? So yeah, does it have to be these exact steps? Not necessarily, but I need to understand what you're doing. There needs to be enough so that I understand what you're doing. But it doesn't have to look exactly like this, no. Okay? All right, what's the next step, Braden?
You divide by the sum of the frequencies, so then you divide that by 40.
Divide what by 40?
You do by row or do you sum it?
Okay, so this is what we're doing here. Okay? So we've just found the numerator, right? This is the, essentially, actually, we haven't done it because we haven't done this. We need to find the sum. The sum of this column is, this is the numerator now, right? The numerator. Okay? Your denominator is what?
Sum of your frequency minus 1.
Some of my frequencies is 40 minus 1, so my denominator is going to be 39, right? So my sample variance is going to be, what, Braden?
Then you divide, sorry, I'm trying to do that as well. So 406.4
Okay,
divided by
39.
That's 10 point.
That's 10.42.
So that's the sample variance.
That's your sample variance.
But then you have to square root it.
And then for the final answer, the square root of my variance works out to be 3.22. Okay? Now, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Is there a cheater method to find this answer?
Yes.
No,
No, there's not.
there is no cheater method.
point.
No. Well, so with finding the standard deviation on regular data, there is a cheater method. Okay? But is there a cheater method for group data? No, there is not. Okay? Some of you are going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to test it. And so you're going to come up with something like standard deviation, and then you'll just do the frequencies. That's the wrong answer. And then they just say, well, maybe it's the midpoints. That's also the wrong answer. Well, maybe it's the products. No, that's also the wrong answer. There is no cheater method. Okay? This is one you have to do this way. There is no shortcut. Okay? Some of you are going to make that mistake.
So if we were gonna put
You'll
this-
get 0 points. Go ahead.
If we were gonna use the empirical rule, we would use the mean, the 14.8.
Okay.
And then the sample deviation.
That's a good question. In order to use the empirical rule, what does my data have to look like? A normal distribution. Is my data normal? Or that's actually bad grammar. Are my data normal? Did you know that data are plural? You should never use data is. I had a boss that used to freak out every time you said data is, data are. Anyway, she was weird. Okay? Okay, she scarred me for life, I think. I still make mistakes, but every time I make a mistake, I'm like, oh no, here it comes. Okay? So, are my data normal? How do you know? You don't know. You're just guessing. How could we prove if our data are normal or not? You should know the answer to that question. McKenna, make a histogram. That was a great answer. Now the next question is, how many of you don't know how to make a histogram out of this data?
So you make a histogram. and see-
You're all lying.
I know how to, I just don't know which.
You use the class and the frequency.
Okay, how do you make it?
You have to highlight them,
Highlight what?
class,
Class
all the way down to frequency.
and frequency. Do I want to include the total in there?
No.
No, I do not. Okay, insert,
Insert, go to bar,
bar graph.
and don't do 3D,
Don't do 3D, we're gonna do the 2D.
and then go to
Okay.
quick layout,
Gonna go to quick layout.
and then down to the histogram, right there.
Okay, you're all studying with Mr. Beatty tonight, right? Hey, that was a good answer.
And so
Now, what are we gonna put down here? We're not quite done yet. What are we gonna put down here for the access title?
we're gonna put class or rate of return.
I don't like class, but rate of return is a good answer, of return. And what are we gonna put here? I don't like frequency. Technically, that's not a wrong answer, but it's very generic. What does this represent?
The number of
Number of
returns
funds.
or funds.
Number of funds, okay? And then what would we put for the title?
Investments.
A company's distribution. Okay. Whatever, or distribution. Okay? Are my data normal?
So don't we look to see if it's a bell curve?
Yeah, is this a bell curve?
It looks like it's right skewed.
It looks right skewed. Okay? This is definitely right skewed. And you might even start to wonder if these are, this last column here, if that is possibly an outlier. We haven't discussed outliers. We're going to do that on Monday, though. Okay? So, yeah, can I use the 68, 95, 99 rule on this? Probably not. Okay, I should use that Russian guy's name, right? What's his name? Chebyshev. Okay?
Like K's.
1 minus 1 over k squared. Okay, on this, because it doesn't look normal. It could be, but it doesn't look like it. Okay?
But it has to be greater than or equal to 75%.
Within how many standard deviations? What he said, 75% within, and I said, how many standard deviations? Two, that would be 2 standard deviations. 1 minus 1 over 2 squared is 3/4, which is 75%. Okay? All right, who needs to study? Your hands all should go up. All right, so you gonna ace my test tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, you better. Your last chance. Study hard, get together with friends. Friends make good study partners.
No.